Yes, we did.
And did you look in his camper?
Yes, I personally stood outside with John and other officers actually went to the camper.
What were law enforcement officers looking for?
We were looking for a billfold, anything that we could identify as to be Mark Koster's.
Did you find anything such as Mark Koster's billfold?
No, we did not.
Anything connected or associated with Mark Koster?
No, we did not.
After searching the camper, was the defendant then placed under arrest?
Yes, he was.
And the dog we saw in the video was provided to his family?
Yes, yes, he was.
In the video we saw there was a diagram of something that the defendant was drawing. Did you keep a copy of that?
Yes, we did.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit number 18. Can you tell us what this is?
This is the drawing that I had John Green make to kind of the description where the incident happened.
It may be a photocopy, but is it a fair and accurate representation when he drew that day?
Yes, it is.
The state would offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 18.
Okay,
18 through C.
May I publish that, Your Honor? Now, maybe it's not going to work right now. Fix it over lunch hour. If I may just hold it, or have the witness hold it, Your Honor. State's Exhibit number 18, if you could hold that up and explain to the jurors what was drawn by the defendant.
This is where he drew the front door. This is where he drew the back door. This was the kitchen. This was the living room. And this little square here would be the computer he was sitting at. And then that's where he wrote a description where Mark Koster came into the living room, had him in the back.
I know it's hard to see because it's small, but there's in the LR is indicating living room.
Yes.
And then there's a little square. What was that indicating?
That would be like the little desk he was sitting in, where the computer was at.
And then to the right of that, there's another little square.
Yes, I don't recall exactly. I think that's where he was indicating where Mark Koster came from, but I'm not sure.
And did he put on the drawing where Mark Koster ended up on the ground?
And that maybe that's what that could be. That drawing was right there. So I don't remember anymore.
No other questions? Thank you.
And moving across.
Assistant Chief Jansma, you talked before we watched the video a little bit with Mr. Hammerman about the idea of fee, right?
Yes.
And I think your response to him as to why you use those is if somebody was not essentially telling you the truth on the point, correct?
Yes.
And the themes that you used here, essentially, you testified to were that this was an accident, correct?
It could have been, yes.
Or a mistake, correct?
Could have been, yes.
I want to clarify when you're saying it could have been. You actually used the theme that it was an accident, correct?
Yes, what I meant by it could have been is when I start using themes, I really didn't know exactly what happened. I'm just putting out themes of a possibility, and that's why I use themes.
Okay. So you put out that theme of an accident, correct?
Yes, I did.
You put out that theme of a mistake, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you put out the theme that Mark attacked him.
Yes, I did.
Now, you only used the theme of Mark attacking him one time, correct?
I don't recall anymore if I use it more than once, but yeah, that could be.
You watched the video, right?
Yes.
We'll let the jury make their own conclusion on that.
Okay.
You used the theme of a mistake at least 4 times, correct?
That could be correct,
You
yes.
said that much more, right?
Very, yes. Like I said, I didn't count.
And you used the theme of an accident approximately 7 times, correct? 7 or 8.
That would be correct.
You used that one a lot, right?
Yes.
That it was an accident. In fact, you even put forth a specific scenario where they were arguing, got in a fight, and he pushed him and he accidentally hit his head, correct?
That would be correct.
John Green was the first person to mention any mental health problems with Mark, correct?
Please clarify that. I don't understand your question.
Who was the first person to mention that Mark had mental health problems?
If I remember right, I thought John did. He pointed up his head and said, referring that when we asked him if there was anything wrong with or sick with Mark Coster.
That's right. He asked him if he was suffering from anything. When people get older, they start to suffer from things, right?
Yes.
And he said Mark, he felt, was always suffering from something up here, and pointed to his head, right?
Yes.
And he said that he'd been having those problems as long as he had known him, correct?
Yes.
That's what your investigation showed, right?
I personally didn't talk to other family members, but other officers talked to family members, and yeah, we knew that he was suffering from some mental problems, yes.
Right. One of the other things that you didn't do was you never looked at any records from Cherokee Mental Health Institute, correct?
No, I didn't take any part of that part of the investigation, no.
So, when you interviewed John Green in Florida, you had never seen any records from Cherokee Mental Health, correct?
No, I didn't.
And when John Green was arrested, an hour after this interview, you had still never seen any records from Cherokee Mental Health, correct?
I have never seen any records, no.
Period.
No.
Mr. Green's first explanation to you of what happened was that when Mr. Coster attacked him with the bat, he says, we fought with it and choked him up.
Yes.
After he tells you what happened, you certainly wouldn't have any reason to continue using the theme then, correct?
No, I would not use a false theme, no.
You wouldn't use a false theme?
Well, for example, I said, did he fall and hit his head? I wouldn't, after John Green told me that he choked him out with the bat, I wouldn't continue to use that theme. That would not make any sense.
Was it a theme of yours to play up the idea that there was DNA or fingerprint evidence out there?
I do that, and as if you noticed earlier in our interview, I said we talked to witnesses, we talked to family. Anytime that I interview people that I believe they're not telling me the truth or I will use themes like that. It makes it easier for them to admit their involvement.
After you get quite a bit of explanation as to what happened, you continue to play up Mark's mental health, correct?
Yes.
But he's already brought that up. Why do you need to play it up any further?
In my experience, when we're interviewing people, a lot of times they won't give all the information right away. As the interview goes along, they'll share even more information. And those themes just make it easier for the person to, explain all the details of their involvement in the case.
At one point, Mr. Green was curious as to how you had located him at that particular location, correct?
Please.
When you guys went and talked to him in Florida, he was in a parking lot in his camper, correct?
That's correct.
He wasn't at a permanent address, correct?
No, it wasn't.
So he was curious as to how you found him in that particular parking lot, correct?
Yes.
Well, one of the things you responded to him with was how you got him was through DNA, correct?
I explained that, well, yes, I use DNA, fingerprints, those kind of things, yes.
And are I approach the witness?
Yes.
Just want to make sure Mr. Smith's on the same page in case they have any questions. Okay. On my documents on page 44, the question starts out, he says, okay, this is John. He says, okay, I'm real curious. How did you all find me here in Jackson, Orange Park? You give your response. If you want me to read the whole thing, I can. The last line there, you say, we interviewed Tom, and that's how we got your name. You guys were closer friends, but your DNA is what is what got us. You didn't have John Green's DNA at that point, did you?
No, not at that time, but I did know, or through witnesses, neighbors, that he lived at that house or was there for an extended period of time. I mean, I guess it just seemed pretty clear that there would be some of his DNA or fingerprints in that house since he was staying there.
The house had been thoroughly gone over by the crime scene team, correct?
Yes, I would assume so. I was outside in security, but I would assume so, yes.
They collected all their evidence, correct?
Yes.
There was no DNA to collect.
I never saw the report, so I really, like I said, I never saw it. Wasn't part of that part of the investigation.
So you're just kind of making it up and you tell them, hey, your DNA is what got us.
Like I said, I use those kind of themes.
False themes.
Well, they're themes, when I interview somebody, I will say that. We talk to witnesses, we use fingerprints, we use DNA, we use all those things, and we do use those things.
In general, you use it.
Right. In general, we use all those things.
It's not really important as to each particular interview if you actually use them, because what's important to you is just that, hey, police use DNA, police use fingerprints.
Yes, and we do, and that's what I explain to almost every person that I interview. That if I feel, they're keeping things from me, they're not telling me the truth.
But when you're talking about DNA, I mean, this is more than halfway through the interview, correct? And at that point,
Yeah, I still move the same thing, I still use the same thing.
John Green tells you in the interview, after he told you that he fought with the bat and he choked him out, he also tells you that, he says, when I ended up with the bat, I was on top of him, correct?
Yes,
So there he's saying, if you take his statement there, he's saying that when I ended up with the bat, I was on top of him, right? He didn't have him before he was on top of him. It was when he was on top of him. That's when he ended up with the bat.
I guess I was on the understanding during the interview that he hit him head first and then landed on top of him.
That was your understanding, right?
That was my understanding.
His words speak for themselves, don't they?
That's how I interpreted his words when he told me that.
Your interpretation led to his arrest for first-degree murder,
I'm
correct?
going to object. That's an inaccurate statement.
Statement is a question, it's not a statement. And
I'm sorry.
the witness can answer the objection to
Please ask me that question again.
You said you were making interpretations that day, correct?
Yes,
And your interpretations, after you made them, he was arrested for first-degree murder, correct?
yes, he was arrested for first-degree murder.
He told you that during the scuffle, they knocked over a table, correct?
If you recall, that I was not in the room during that part of the. He told Chief of Police John Thompson that.
Okay. You've seen the interview, you've watched it, right?
Correct.
And you guys are law enforcement, right?
Correct.
And Chief Thompson was in here talking about everything that happened in the interview earlier, so you know that that's what he said in the interview, right?
Yes.
He also said that Mark was fighting him all the way, correct?
Yes, he said that he struggled with it.
You, after this interview, you went back and searched Mr. Green's camper, correct?
I didn't search it, but I stood present there while it was being done.
Fair enough, the police did.
Yes.
How many police would you say were there at the camper when it was being searched?
If I recall correctly, there's probably 4 of us.
Okay. What about when he was summoned down to the police station, how many police would you say were there?
Are you asking me how many were in the building?
No. You guys showed up at his camper, correct?
Correct.
How many police officers were at the camper?
Well, right at the camper, there was just 2 of us, but there were 2 Florida agents that were farther behind us.
Okay. Mr. Smith was also there, correct?
Yeah, he was farther away behind also.
Okay. He goes willingly, correct?
Yes.
But he's not like driving the car or anything, right? I mean, you guys drive him down in a police car, right?
Correct.
He's polite.
Oh, very much so.
When you guys get done with everything at the camper, he's arrested for first-degree murder.
That would be correct.
You guys didn't wait till you got back to Iowa, review a copy of the videotape, go through what he said maybe one more time. You didn't do that before you arrested him, did you?
No.
You didn't have those records from Cherokee Mental Health when you arrested him, did you?
No.
I don't have any further questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Assistant Chief Jansma, Mr. Kendall was asking you about, was the defendant talked about falling to the floor. Do you remember that just before?
Yes.
Your interpretation?
Yes.
During the interview, did the defendant specifically say that he hit Mark Costner in the back of the head, hit him in the head, and he went down, and then he got on top of him?
Yes.
And I can show you page 28, counsel, lines 23 through 25, page 29, lines 1 and 2. You read that to yourself.
You want me to read it out loud or to
No,
myself?
yourself.
Could I get the page one again?
28, lines 23 through 25. And then here's page 29, lines 1 through 2.
Okay.
So this isn't in your interpretation, is it?
No, that would be the documentation of the interview.
That's what the defendant said.
Yes,
He hit him, Mark Hofstra went to the ground.
yes,
Hit him in the head,
yes,
and then he got on top of him.
yes.
Now, you were asked about Florida agents being there at the parking lot. Is that standard protocol when you go to another jurisdiction, you contact their agency?
Yes.
They didn't go up to the trail with you.
No, they didn't.
Were you and Chief Thompson there with guns drawn when you knocked on the door?
No, we did not.
How were you dressed?
We were dressed in, well, you saw the clothing that during the interview. That's how we were dressed.
And you were asked about the interview taking place. The Sac County Attorney, Ben Smith, was there as well.
Yes, he was.
And as this is being interviewed, he's in another room being able to watch it, correct?
That is correct.
So the charging decision, when the defendant was charged with murder in the first degree, did you make that decision or did the county attorney make that decision?
The county attorney made that decision.
No other questions, thank you.
You'll agree with me that the county attorney only has the information that law enforcement gathers in their investigation, right?
That would be correct unless he gathers some information in his own investigation.
You're not trying to say that those Cherokee records were disclosed prior to Mr. Green being arrested, are you?
Like I said, I didn't take part of that investigation, so no. I personally never saw any paperwork from Cherokee.
Are you trying to insinuate that maybe the county attorney did?
I don't know what I can't say either way. Until you mentioned him, I never knew anything about any paperwork from Cherokee.
Let's also clarify something. When Mr. Hammerhand started his question, he said the back of the head. John Green never said that he hit Mark in the back of the head, correct?
No, that would be correct. I think Mr. Hannon kind of corrected himself. But yeah, he just meant in the head.
And if someone were to say that in opening statement, that he was hit in the back of the head, that would be incorrect as well, correct?
Objection, opening statement's not evidence, Your Honor. This is argumentative.
I think the jury needs to be clarified on that point, because it was stated.
Just ask the question, please.
If anyone says that John Green said he hit him in the back of the head, that person would not have correct information based on the interview, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Further redirect.
No other questions, Your Honor.
May step down.
May this witness be excused, Your Honor.
You may, Your Honor.
Excuse me.